NIO have revealed what the company says is its Tesla Model Y crusher. It's apparently much better than Tesla Model Y, according to the CEO of NIO. It has a variant that has more than 1,000 kilometers of range, though I would claim that's actually false advertising. And it's slightly bigger than a Tesla Model Y while being cheaper. Now, it actually does seem pretty impressive. So I don't personally think NIO CEO needs to make these misleading claims about the vehicle because it is actually really, really good. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. NIO CEO has been going all out on saying this vehicle is much better than a Tesla Model Y. In fact, he's made comments like Tesla has no advantage over any other car company. They're mediocre. And then he calls for cooperation and niceness between EV manufacturers. Very, very contradictory. He's a little bit bipolar, like the CEO of Stellantis. I personally am not a real fan of the CEO of NIO, and the company has been, well, it had a bit of a crisis in the fourth quarter of last year. It had to raise money from investors, was basically calling around to get investment because no one wanted to invest anymore. So there's been lots of rounds of investment funds coming in for NIO because obviously they burn through money like crazy. So you guys probably hear, you probably think, if you're in the United States, probably think, well, they sound a little bit like Lucid, right? Lucid burns through money. NIO is very similar car company. Now, that said, NIO do make great cars. So for all my criticisms, I've always said they make great products. I've never, ever not said that. So if you're going to hate on me because I'm criticizing the CEO for a lot of the things that he does, which are very negative, to be honest, and I don't see why that's necessary, then you've also got to say, well, hey, I believe this product is very good. The claim of a plus 1,000 kilometer range, though, is extremely misleading. Now, if this company was a US-based company, I think US regulators would probably step in and say, guys, I don't know if you can make this claim because you can't even buy that model. Anyhow, here are the details. The price, it's $4,000 cheaper. So just about 12% cheaper than the cheapest version of the Tesla Model Y. And it's a bit bigger. It's about 5% bigger. It has apparently better energy efficiency than a Model Y. Now, NIO's vehicles do have decent energy efficiency, but they've never been Tesla beaters when it comes to efficiency. So we'll have to wait and see if that's true in the real world. It may be, might not be. I'm going to say probably not. Probably similar efficiency in the real world. The Onvo L60 is a NIO, but it's not a NIO. So if you were to buy this car, and it'll go on sale in Europe and other countries as well, then technically if someone said, what car do you have? You'd have to tell them an Onvo because it's not a NIO. This is a new brand NIO have created in order to be their cheaper brand. There's Chinese brands love doing this. They love creating sub-brands and brands. Some EV brands, some companies in China have about 20 different brands. So it can be confusing, but they like to do it. Energy consumption is apparently 12.1 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers under CLTC conditions. That's better than Model Y's 12.5. So that's what NIO says. Who knows? They said we've prioritized power consumption since day one. The Onvo L60 is 4,828 millimeters long. It's about 5% bigger than a Model Y. It's 190 inches long, 76 inches wide, and 64 inches tall. Wheelbase is 116 inches. Interior space is probably similar to a Model Y because, as you can see, it looks a little different to the Model Y at the back. It looks more sloped down, and that might be where it's getting pretty good efficiency from that very sloped rear. Now, in terms of price, the Model Y starts at a price of around $34,000 in China for the 60 kilowatt hour rear-wheel drive version, which has a CLTC range of 554 kilometers. The cheapest Onvo starts at $30,000. Now, to make a key point here, NIO has never made a profit for a single quarter of their entire existence. So this car is not intended to be a profit maker. It's intended to be a car to take market share. The standard range model has 555 kilometers of CLTC range. That's 345 miles. Real world, you're looking at EPA, probably about 280 miles. Long range model, 454 miles or 730 kilometers. And the extra long range with 1,000 plus kilometers. You know why it's 1,000 plus kilometers? Because it doesn't exist yet. That's 621 plus miles. Now, guys, If this were Tesla and Tesla had made the claims that NIO had made, they would be getting blasted by the US media. The US media would take them to task because NIO have been claiming to have this EV, and I have sadly reported on this. I feel a bit embarrassed that I've done this. That's never existed. It doesn't exist. WeLion's semi-solid state battery is said to give various different NIO vehicles more than 1,000 kilometers of range, but you can't buy it. Anyway, guys, to get back to the details of this car, 3 so-called battery pack options. One's a 60 kilowatt hour pack, same size as the Model Y. The other one's a 90 kilowatt hour pack, which is meant to give the car, around 745 miles of range. Real world, you're probably looking at closer to 600. Sorry, I should say 745 kilometers of range. Real world, you're looking at about 600 kilometers of range. So probably around about 380 miles. That's pretty good. Now, of course, there is apparently a 150 kilowatt hour semi-solid state battery from WeLion, but you can't buy that, like I said before. And as of yet, they still don't exist. Now, William Lee said in March that if you want to buy Tesla Model Y, wait. His rate is very public, a big part of NIO's marketing. Don't buy a Model Y. Wait for the Onvo. It'll be better and it will be cheaper. And they actually do this. They advertise Onvo specs, and I'll put a Tesla Model Y specs next to it, and I'll say, look, how's it better? CCC, wait, don't buy Model Y, wait for the Onvo. But of course, production numbers, I imagine, will be fairly limited for probably the remainder of this year. NIO have claimed, or the CEO has claimed, that the L60 will outsell the Xiaomi SU7, which has received 100,000 pre-orders. And the company says that they will deliver all 100,000 in 2024. Is he right? Will the Onvo outsell the SU7 this year? I'd say there's a snowball's chance in hell of that happening. Absolutely not. But hey, SU7, as far as we know, isn't going to be sold in Europe. NIO say they're going to sell this vehicle. This is apparently a global vehicle. They don't say what countries they're going to sell it in, but apparently it will go on sale in Europe next year, at some point in time. So this will be an option for you guys to buy next year. By that time, though, there will, of course, be a new version of the Model Y, which this vehicle will have to compete with. That will make it a bit more challenging for NIO, who is still an unknown brand in Europe. And to be honest, they haven't really sold many cars on the continent yet. Thanks for watching.